Using B-roll over your talking head footage like this can make your video a lot more interesting, help you demonstrate what you're talking about, and ultimately keep your viewers engaged for longer. In this video, we're going to look at some of the different stock footage options available, and then some tips for how to edit your B-roll. If you want to film your own B-roll to make your video more personal, you can check out this video for some ideas and basic filming principles to make your shots look more professional. But if you don't have the time, or let's be honest, the interest in filming your own B-roll, here are some stock footage sites that I really like to use. Option number one is Pexels.com. Pexels is a free stock footage and photo platform. It's not required that you credit the artist for their footage or photography, but it's always appreciated. You can use the footage for personal or commercial projects as long as you abide by these guidelines. Basically, don't use images of identifiable people or brands to suggest endorsements or have them appear in a bad light. And you can't redistribute or sell the footage or photos claiming they are your own work. Check out the license tab on Pexels.com for more info on this. There are heaps of categories to choose from, or you can input your own keywords to find what you're looking for. You can also select the orientation and size of the clips to suit your project. Option 2 is artgrid.io. If you feel a bit limited by the images available on Pexels, a platform that I really love is Artgrid. It's a subscription-based stock footage platform with hundreds of new clips added every month. I like the style of the clips on this platform. Some of them are a bit edgy, the lighting is always really nice, and the filming style isn't your typical stock standard corporate-y looking footage. The filters let you get really specific with the framing, camera movement, location, and speed of the shot you're looking for. There are a few other subscription or pay-as-you-go options like Storyblocks, Shutterstock, and Vimeo now has its own stock footage library. But the two that we talked about are my favorites at this point in time for price and the range of footage that's available to you. All of these options are linked in the description below. So let's jump into the edit suite now and look at some tips for editing B-roll into your videos.
Alrighty guys, I'm here in Adobe Premiere Pro. This tutorial is not going to focus too much on the actual tools and shortcuts that I use in this program. It's more going to be an overview of some principles and rules that I have for editing B-roll. So I'm going to skim over the actual technical editing process quite quickly and just show you the process that I have for putting footage down and making the flow and pacing of your video a bit nicer. There are a couple of different ways you can go about editing your B-roll. The first is to cut it to music. You might have a whole video or part of a video that is just music, and you can make the video flow nicer by cutting it to the beats in this music. I recommend that as the very first thing you do is pick your music, because you can waste a lot of time going through, putting down a heap of clips that you want to use, and then deciding on a piece of music and having to adjust the length of all those clips, or changing music and having to adjust the length and duration of the clips again. So I'm going to put this piece of music down on my timeline here, and you can see if you zoom in really far, all these little beats. I wouldn't do it just by looking at the beats, I would do it by listening to the track and cutting to the beats that I can hear really prominently. I'm going to turn this down just slightly for the moment. And the first little cut we're going to do is with this B-roll footage here of a family. They're on a little hiking adventure, and we are going to cut to the beat of this music and just put a little sequence together. So the first thing I'll do is just lock this clip so that I can't accidentally cut or move the music in any way. And then I'm going to go through and choose one of my first clips. And then I'm going to play through and just pause on that first big music note there. I'm going to cut on this note And then I'm going to find another clip. And I'm going to stop again on the next big music note, cut that clip, find a new one. Sometimes you might want an extra long clip and let it play over 2 bars. So that is our first little sequence, editing to the cuts of the music. The other kind of editing you might be doing is if you already have a piece of talking head footage and you want to put some B-roll over that to make it more interesting. So I've got some B-roll here of people filming themselves, other business owners doing different kinds of work. So I'm just going to place that B-roll over the top of this clip and show you my process for making the shots flow seamlessly. So if we play through this clip,
Using B-roll over your talking head footage like this can make your video a lot more interesting.
I might start bringing the B-roll up at this point here when I talk about how it helps you demonstrate what you're trying to do. So I will zoom in, have my playhead as a marker where I know I start talking about B-roll helping you demonstrate, and then I'll go choose a clip. The ideal length for B-roll over your talking head footage is usually about 3 to 5 seconds. Anything longer than that and it starts to drag out a bit, it might get a bit boring. You want to keep those shots refreshing as much as you can, because every time a shot refreshes, our brain refreshes and our audience will start paying attention again because something new is happening on the screen. So I'm going to cut the vision to my voice and to what I'm saying. And every time I take a pause, that might be a good place to put a new piece of footage down. But I'm going to keep to that 3 to 5 second rule. So those are my 2 guidelines for cutting B-roll vision to talking head footage like this. And I will show you what that looks like. So I will take a piece of this footage and I'll place it down. And then I will watch it through and just see where the next logical place to put a new piece of footage down will be.
Interesting, help you demonstrate what you're talking about, and ultimately keep your...
And I think that is the perfect place here. So this is one that's only 2 seconds, but because of the speed that I'm talking, and I've referenced another talking point by saying ultimately keeps your viewers engaged for longer, I'm going to cut here and put a new piece of footage down.
Help you demonstrate what you're talking about, and ultimately keep your viewers engaged for longer. In this video, we're going to look at some of the different stock footage options available, and then some tips for how to edit your B-roll. If you want to film your own B-roll to make...
I'm going to leave this section as a piece to camera, and then I'm going to add some more B-roll towards the end of this section here. I have some shots up the top here of people filming, so I'm going to use those here. This probably goes without saying, but I always try to make the B-roll completely relevant to what I'm saying, and it helps to actually drive the story, and it's not just kind of a random shot there for the sake of having a shot. So there we have it, our introduction, if I were to have used B-roll from the start.
Using B-roll over your talking head footage like this can make your video a lot more interesting, help you demonstrate what you're talking about, and ultimately keep your viewers engaged for longer. In this video, we're going to look at some of the different stock footage options available and then some tips for how to edit your B-roll. If you want to film your own B-roll to make your video more personal, you can check out this video for some ideas and basic filming principles to make your shots look more professional.
So, to quickly recap, number one, I always recommend you choose your music first so you can cut to your music, make the video flow nicer, and it saves you time having to do this later. Use the music to drive the story of your video. Secondly, keep your B-roll footage around 3 to 5 seconds, but shorter or longer is still okay, depends on the pace of your video, the content of the shot, and ultimately what feels right when you watch it back. Thirdly, use relevant clips that actually help you tell the story and allow you to paint more of a picture in the mind of your audience, so to speak. Have a play around, see what you like. At the end of the day, the video is your creative work. So let yourself be free to experiment and make something that you and your audience can enjoy.
For more tips on editing and filming B-roll, check out these videos here. Make sure you hit subscribe for more tips and techniques and leave your questions in the comments below so I can answer them for you. Now, get out there and make some videos. I'll see you next time.